IVM.
$100. That's all it takes to begin your journey with Bitcoin and Ethereum. No, really. With CoinSwitch, you can start investing in over 100 cryptocurrencies with just 100 rupees. On top of that, there are zero charges for deposits and withdrawals, so you can trade, buy, sell, however and whenever you want. All of this, plus their extremely intuitive interface, makes CoinSwitch the perfect app for beginners in the crypto space. But don't take my word for it. Just download CoinSwitch for free and try it out for yourself. If you'd like more information on cryptocurrencies, tune into a show about crypto with me, Rohan Joshi, my new adventure on IVM podcasts. CoinSwitch, kuch to badlega.
Here's your smart fact of the day. In 1968, Ivan Sutherland and his student Bob Sproul created the first VR/AR head-mounted display, Sword of Damocles, that was connected to a computer and not a camera. A very large and scary-looking contraption, too heavy for the user to use and comfortably wear, and was suspended from the ceiling, therefore the name. From there, consumer virtual reality headsets have really moved, I mean, they're now released by video game companies starting from the early to mid 1990s. In 2010 onwards, there were some commercially tethered headsets that were released by Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, and Sony PlayStation VR, And now we are at a stage where Mark Zuckerberg has talked about the metaverse. Hey there, welcome to Smarter with Sid. And while we will talk about the metaverse in some other future episode, today's episode is going to focus on one specific application of Oculus Rift, or a mixed reality thing called the Horizon Workrooms. So my question to all of us is, will life change with the Horizon Workrooms? Right? Now, we are looking at a very, very fundamental shift over here. We are looking at a shift from Zoom to this sort of work experience. Horizon Workrooms, let's understand what it does. Essentially, you put on a VR headset and you get into a room which has a sense of continuity. So the whiteboard that you saw that you had marked, in this virtual space, that you had marked with some squibbles, you can still see it. People can join in by Zoom calls over there, so you can see videos displaying stuff. You can actually meet people's avatars over there, have conversations, make hand movements, and actually do some, gestures and write down notes and the rest of it right there. Now, this mixed reality thing, because it's not just VR, right? Not just virtual reality, it's also, augmented reality, and very interesting. It's called mixed reality, by the way, guys. So it has now been released and people are pretty excited about it. Well, at least on social media, they are. Now, will it really change is the next question that we have in mind. Will what change, you ask? Well, will work change? Now, very interestingly, I don't know if this had been released during normal times, before pandemic times, that it would have worked as much as I think it would work post-pandemic. So during normal times, we used to have a certain set of behaviors, right? We used to go down to offices and we used to work in, workstations, etc. We used to do business traveling, so many things. And we were used to certain patterns of work life. Now, with Zoom, post-pandemic or during pandemic, you may call it, we have certainly changed our behavior set. And because this behavior change has happened because of the pandemic, I actually think that Horizon Workrooms have a really good chance of success. So entering into a virtual reality sort of space with these workrooms, paradoxically, is going to give us a more real experience. And I think that's going to be fundamentally important for us. Let me explain. So because of the Zoom thing, we have fatigue. We have fatigue looking at electronic screens. We have fatigue just experiencing meeting after meeting continuously, on that flat screen. And we are missing out on real life. We are missing out on all the stuff that intangible stuff that real life meeting and interactions with people actually mean to us. And funnily enough, virtual reality is going to give us a more real experience than reality itself, because virtual reality is going to help us meet people in in a sort of a more real situation wherein we are going to have conversations and the rest of it. It is going to be a really, really interesting time for the first Horizon workrooms to start functioning. Of course, we need to look at the first order effects and the second order effects. Now, what do I mean by first order effects of a change like this? That means what will change immediately, what can be immediately obvious, right? And one of the things that will be immediately obvious is behavioral changes. How will we behave in a virtual workspace? How will we? Of course, the initial clumsiness is going to be weird, right? It will be weird. We won't know how to use the device, etc., etc., etc. But I'm sure that given the way in which we have made technology more and more intuitive, making an intuitive virtual workspace is going to be, pretty much par for all of us. If we look at behavioral changes, then after we lose the initial clumsiness, it is going to, is it going to be more polite, for instance? Is it going to be more structured? Is it going to be more fluid? Are new gestures going to come up? Are we going to start reading new behavioral patterns in the workplace just because it is in the virtual reality space? That is what I call first order effects. Now, second order effects, that is where we are going to find a lot of fun predicting how things will change. I think there are two things that are going to happen. One thing certainly threatens the entire travel industry, especially airlines and especially, all those places like hotels and business hotels. So basically, business travel is going to be threatened if you're able to successfully replicate getting into virtual reality and having meetings from colleagues in Denver and all of that. See, we are already used to doing this on Zoom screens. So that barrier is gone, that barrier that would have been pre-pandemic. But suddenly you are in a situation wherein you're actually having a better experience with virtual reality. So second order changes certainly will be there with business travel. I think one positive thing that will be experienced is the carbon footprint will be reduced, hopefully, because of reduced business travel. Well, maybe I'm just being optimistic, who knows? But these are the sort of second order changes that we can perhaps envisage. Now, when I'm in a virtual workroom, right, and I'm meeting with my colleagues and all of us are communicating with each other and the rest of it, how successful is it going to be? Is it going to just stay to early adopters and innovators, just going to stay with leadership, senior leadership who can afford it? Or is it going to be, widespread? I think application is the key for acceptance. If we find a low cost, high usage version of virtual reality in Horizon or any other player that comes into the thing, I think that will be the best possible way in which acceptance can happen if it can be commonly applied and commonly used. Unless and until virtual reality, I mean, Oculus Rift was kind of released in 2012, if I'm not mistaken fully, but it's been there. I mean, the technology has been there and the technology has to be good. Let's all agree to that. But unless and until we find a commercial application of the said technology, it is never going to fly. If we look at technology itself, yes, the technology has to be as less clumsy as possible. And it has to lend an experience that is truly beneficial for mankind. Application, but however, remains the key for acceptance over here, and acceptance of a new product or even a new category. What will be the key factors for something to get accepted, something like this to get accepted? The first thing is, I believe the strongest thing that people will experience is a continued sense of reality. Let me explain this. So when I go to my workplace in the physical world and I enter my office, there are telltale signs that are familiar to me that tell me I'm in a familiar space. Okay, the office is like this. Yes, yesterday's scribbles were like this. That's where the dustbin is. That's where the water cooler is, and the rest of it. This continuity is something which is completely missing over Zoom calls and the way in which we are conducting digital meetings right now. I believe virtual reality will help us have a different kind of continuity, which will be closer to reality. The fact is that people will start embracing this because of this continuity factor, because we like certainty. We like, this certainty that brings us so-called closer to reality. Let me take the 3D example. I don't know if you've seen a 3D movie of late, of course, in a theater, very difficult to do. But have you seen how a 3D movie looks without the 3D glasses? Now, that's the kind of experience that people will have once they take their virtual reality headset off and still attend the same meetings over Zoom or some other application. Sure, you can see things, but it's all kind of blurry and it won't feel the same. So my prediction is that once somebody is used to virtual reality headsets, if they are not very cumbersome, they will find it very difficult to move back, moving from color to black and white TV, another example. And I think this is going to find its way into the mainstream very, very quickly. But again, application is the key. What I hope to really understand, and like anybody else, if I start working in a virtual workspace, is the cues that I will take from the meta language that we seem to be missing on something like Zoom. So whenever we are talking on Zoom, sure, we can understand some cues of body language and tone and manner and stuff like that. But there is something different in an in-person meeting that Zoom cannot replicate, and that is the overall body language, even how much a person is sweating when that person is meeting you, how a person's, forehead is glistening, or how the person takes off the glasses and wipes them, and so many different, whether people are fiddling with their feet. That is meta language, and that meta language is something that we will be able to capture, I believe, in virtual reality in some way or the other. We'll get our cues from there, and that is what perhaps will make the biggest difference. Well, I hope you like this, episode of mine. That's Smarter with Sid. I thought that this is a very, very exciting development. So that's something that is going to impact all of us in some way or the other. And I thought that it will make us certainly smarter to know a little bit more about it, and perhaps go to first principles and find out more stuff about this. I always feel that we should be looking at taking our learning to the next level. In fact, one of the things that I'm going to do soon is to launch a series of videos which you can subscribe to, and something that you can actually connect and learn from. I'm going to call them next level learning, and maybe my first course will be on branding or something, where I think management professionals like us can share, learning stuff, and also building a community around it. So if I will be making an official release of it soon, but this was just a precursor to the thinking behind the whole situation over here. I hope you're 1% smarter today, if not more. I certainly am, after I've learned more about this entire exciting space. And if you like what you've heard, well, you can follow me as The Traveling Professor on LinkedIn or Instagram. And if you like what you've heard, well, there are many more podcasts like these on IVM. Just download the app. Until next time, then.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to ask everyone for a quick favor. We're running a brand survey right now and would really appreciate it if you could let us know what you think about the advertising on IVM. Go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and do let us know. As part of this, we'll be selecting 10 random participants and sending them some IVM swag, so do fill out those surveys. Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On the first episode of Last Brand Standing, learn all about the intriguing battles between Tata Motors and Maruti Suzuki with hosts Anupam and Ambi, hosts of other shows on the IVM Podcast Network, Pesa Vesa, and the Sponge Podcast. Great show that I think you really enjoy. We would also like to announce our collaboration with Hans, India's most widely read literary magazine. Hans Vani is now available in audio version on IVM Podcast. Do check it out. On Tere Mere Raste, Keshav tells us how people lived underground in Turkey's Keymakli city for generations. Varun introduces us to the world of audio advertising with Stas Tushinsky on Advertising is Dead. How can influencers shift from advertising to paid content? Siddharth Deshmukh tells us on Smarter with Sid. And on The Wire Talk, Siddharth talks to A.D. Singh about how badly restaurants are hit during the lockdown. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any other show for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week, Ciet, Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quarter, CoinSwitch, Kuber, and Intuit India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Whether you're an established sports person or a budding one, or simply a sports enthusiast, Join us, Tanvi and Shlok.
We are two passionate pro badminton players talking policy, mindset and everything sport.
So tune in to The Millennial Athlete every Monday.
Only on the IVM Podcast Network.
Trust us, it's gonna be lit.